So, from manufacturer to ultimate consumer, the main link in our economic system are the salesmen. Salesmen.
Hey everybody, I'm Clint. Welcome to another episode of the Salesman's Guide to Beer and Business. Today we have somebody with over 10 years of door-to-door sales, 13 years in RV sales. We also have the lead service manager, operations manager, and now a parts manager. Today we have Byron Thompson. Byron, thanks for being on the show, buddy.
Clint, thanks for having me.
Man, I hope we have a lot of fun. We're going to talk a lot about beer on the show. We've got a couple of different ones we are going to try. The first one I'm going to bring up is Public House. Their beer is the House Party. Once again, I picked it by the can. I mean, they are legitimately having a house party on the can. You got a goat over here drinking probably, I'm going to say, an Irish coffee. You got a fox breaking in the window. You got a bear DJ. I mean, you even got a zombie coming out. I'm going to post pictures on our YouTube page, so you should be seeing that right now, seeing what we're seeing. I mean, and this is what I'm calling a mild sour. This is a beer that I had found in the store, looked at it by the can, couldn't tell that it was a sour, but it is really good. It's got a nice citrus flavor to it. It's got a good kind of mellow taste to it.
Very light.
Very light.
Be a great summer beer.
I agree 100% on that, because you could drink this all day and just be smashed by the end of it, but it just goes down smooth. It's not heavy on you. It's really good. I really want people to try this. It's probably going to be one of my newer favorites, and I probably say that every episode. So
you can never have too many favorites.
You can never have too many
Especially
favorites.
with beer.
Well, and with this show, I've tried a lot of beers, so there is no telling how many favorites I'm going to have.
Yeah.
So, Byron, tell me your honest opinion of House Party. What do you think of it, man?
Well, I'd never tried a sour, and I appreciate you turning me on to this because I love Public House. I used to keep a keg of it at my house, and I enjoy those guys. They're doing a great job down there. Have you been to the facility?
I have not. Now, I plan on doing a tour.
You need to go because it is phenomenal. They have a great common area. They have bands. They have a little bit of food. It's a wonderful place. But it's not complex, but you can taste the orange. The hops are more of an aroma hops than they are a bitter hops, which I was a little bit hesitant about. I'm not a big hop guy, but I think that would be dynamite anytime. But I think in the summertime, when you want a lighter, cleaner, it's very clean, and it's very enjoyable. In fact, I'm out.
Okay, well, that's going to be a perfect time now that you're out of that one, because we were drinking a little bit before the show. Go ahead and crack that boy open. Mysteriously, the cap will fall off. Imagine
isn't
that. Great? So this is the Oatmeal Milk Stout by River Horse. They're out of Ewing, New Jersey. So this is kind of a far off beer, but I'm really curious to try this one, because it is a stout. Everybody knows I'm not a huge fan of stouts, but these milk stouts have really been not so bad. What I've been trying here lately, the milk stouts are definitely where I think I could make a balance of it.
It's sweeter. The milk, the lactose is what they put in it, and that's what calms down the bitterness and makes it more palatable. And let's see how it tastes.
I want get a good sip of that. I want to see how that comes out.
It's got a good nose. You smell a little bit of coffee, which is normal. Very balanced. You get a little chocolate. Very pleasant, and it's light. For a stout, it's very light.
Yeah, and I can taste that in just the little sip I got. I mean, you do have a good balance of everything in that one. That one's really good.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah, I could drink that. Now, obviously, hot summer day, I'm not reaching for this.
Well,
no.
stouts are out when it comes springtime.
Yeah, no,
You're out.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're in the tail end of stout season.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that just means we're closer to IPA season, because everybody knows, huge IPA fan. I love me some IPAs. So you've actually done some brewing, as a hobby, and have you done it professionally?
No. We won some contests, but we never went that big.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you did it enough to think your product was good enough, not just like you made a keg in the backyard and everybody drank it because it was free. So tell me about the brewing process. We're going to get beer educated today, guys. So what all does it take to make a beer? I mean, we're not talking any specific kind. Just basic fundamentals of brewing. What do you need?
Well, we're blessed here in Missouri, especially central Missouri, hard water. Seems like the harder the water, the higher your alcohol content is, which is never harmful.
No.
You need a fermenter. You need some kind of malt or barley, depending. You need some kind of grain. Obviously, you need hops, and there's all kinds of hops. Bittering hops, and then there's all kinds of aroma hops, and then you need yeast, because the yeast and sugar. You got to have sugar for the yeast to eat on, and that's what converts your alcohol over.
Fair enough.
But it all happens in the fermenter, and you don't need a lot of space. You don't need a lot of money invested into a kit. Basically it's a 6-gallon food grade bucket.
Okay.
Like a pickle bucket.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, something like that, or something dressing comes in. You can get this stuff if you have connection with somebody in a restaurant. You can tell them what you're wanting, or you can buy it. And an airlock.
Okay, yeah.
And now we always did our beer when we made beer. We'd leave it about a week in the fermenter till it started to. You could watch the bubbler; it would bubble as the gas would cook off, or basically cook off. And when that would stop for a couple of days, then we knew that it was time to get it off the yeast bed, because as it all gravitates down, and it pulls all that yeast and stuff down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So we would rack the beer, what they called racking, into a secondary. So we'd do a secondary fermentation. So that was when it cleaned up even more. And we'd go from about that much muck out of the fermenter down to about that much in the secondary. So when we made beer and poured a glass of beer, it was clean. And a lot of people, there's some sediment. It's like drinking campfire coffee. You don't drink the last swig.
You don't finish it off.
Mine was good to the last drop, man. So, and we took a lot of pride in that. And I say we. I had a partner, David Hopkins, a lifelong friend of mine.
Good.
And he's the one that got me into it. I was making wine, and he's like, "We really need to make beer."
Yeah.
So that started our adventure, and we started in the late 90s, and he kind of turned me on to craft beer. I was a Budweiser, Miller Lite, it's like everybody,
That's where you start.
But, I started wheat beers, and then we started drinking porters and stouts and ales, and that was when my experience to beer really began. And at the time, you couldn't buy that stuff anywhere. These micro breweries and like Schlafly and Sam Adams and Four Hands, Public House. These guys weren't around, so he kind of started me on my beer journey.
Yeah. And
so we could make it, but we couldn't buy it, so we just made it.
Yeah.
And we just grew our palate as we went along, and then we started making it seasonally.
Yeah.
And so that was fun.
I can see that being a lot of fun. I mean, and that's one thing even me and my wife have talked about doing, was getting to where we could be able to do something that. We're not looking to grow a business or make just something for us to do together.
Have some friends over and have a beer.
Yeah, here, have a beer. Tell us your honest opinion. And one of the reasons why I started this podcast was maybe to incorporate that as part of the show. You know, like today we're going to try my beer, you know?
Right.
And I promise you it's not going to be anything I would ever sell, but it's going to be to have somebody on the show and get their honest opinion of what my brewing is compared to major manufacturers or a microbrewer or something like that, you know?
And you make a good glass of beer, and it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
That I did that.
Yeah.
And other people liked it.
Yeah. I remember when I was probably 13 or 14 years old, my mom gave me a root beer kit. We were going to make our own root beer.
I've done that too. That's fun.
And the hardest thing was the wait afterwards because it's got to sit in the bottle for a while and you've got to let it, carbonate and all that other stuff. When we popped the bottle on that, it was the worst thing I'd ever put in my mouth. So I'm really interested to see what beer I could get, you know. But it was terrible. I don't know where we went wrong, but it was bad.
We started on kits. You can buy kits, and we did kits for a while, and then we started doing grain kits. We were doing syrup kits, and then we started doing grain kits, where you get the grain that's already milled, and you boil it for so long. But one thing we did, and I'm glad we did, we documented everything we did. We wrote the recipe out and what temperature it was when we put the yeast in it. We tried to be good. And every step of the process, we made notes in a spiral notebook. Yeah. And after a while, we started calling it the Bible.
There you go. This is the beer Bible.
Yeah, the beer Bible. And not to be blasphemous, but that's what we called it. Mm-hmm. And then we filled it up, so we started a second one. Mm-hmm. So that automatically became the Old Testament.
Oh, gosh. That is awesome.
But we had all these recipes, and then we would, when we got enough, and every time we bottled a batch, we would keep 4 beers out of it to fill a case. And then that was our archives. So we would test it from time to time. There was always 2 of us. So we'd get a couple beers and we'd try it just to see how long it would, see how long the legs were, how long would it last, and still be good, still be viable. So we kind of got a feel for that, on what the shelf life was, because we had, it was all organic, I guess you could say. We didn't pump anything into it. Whatever it was. Yeah. And that was kind of even more of a science experiment because you didn't know, when you pop the top, what you're going to have. Yeah. So it was fun. And we would go through and we would document those too. Yeah. And after we did 4 or 5, you could tell the handwriting was starting to get a little
gets a little worse as you go down the page.
It's almost like a bad screenplay. It just gets worse as you go on. But we had a lot of fun though. We never made a batch we couldn't drink, which was always our motto. Yeah, we never made a bad batch.
Well, I wish I could say that, but I've already been strucken off with root beer. So, Byron, what is your favorite beer to drink? Like when you either go out or if you're going to the liquor store, what's the beer you grab for?
It kind of depends on my mood and the season. Right now, I do like the heavier beers. Seem to be more pleasant to me, enjoyable. In the summertime, if I had to get a brand, if you're going to nail me down on a brand, I'm a Sam Adams guy. Okay. And one of the reasons is because of the consistency that they have. They're very consistent. And I like about everything they do. I really do. We got a lot of good ideas from them. Yeah. And that we duplicated, which was kind of cool when you can do that. But yeah, Sam Adams is good. I like Leinenkugels in the summertime.
Oh yeah, you get your summer shandy going.
That shandy, and man, they can't go wrong. It's light, it's good. Good beer. I like. It just depends. I'm just as happy, if I'm like last night, I had a Miller Lite with barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just all over the place.
See, and I think me and you are on the same page as far as beer goes. I mean, there are definitely beers like if there's something else, I'll drink it because I just really don't like it. Like Miller, I don't like Miller. I've never liked Miller, and I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. But Bud Light, Coors Light, Michelob, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I'd drink anything that was free. I mean, I had somebody on the show one time, and they told me my favorite beer is the beer that's in my hand.
Yeah, I always heard there was two kinds of beer.
Yeah.
Yours and mine.
Yeah, yours always tastes better. Oh. So I do want to keep talking about beer because I feel like that needs to be a good part of the show.
Sure.
So we do have this other one. We haven't talked about this one. Do you know much about this one? I didn't even write this one down. Winter Chills Ale.
It's probably going to be a little bit heavier bodied ale than normal.
Okay.
And mainly because it takes about 30 days to put a batch of beer down.
Mm-hmm.
So when they started making their winter beers, they, of course, they're using different grains than during the summer. Your lighter beers normally have like Budweiser has rice in it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right on the label.
Brewed with rice.
It's got rice in it. So, and again, that's to keep it light. That crisp flavor. This will be a heavier. It's not going to be like, let's say, Public House's farm ale.
Yeah.
But it'll be a little bit heavier than normal. So it should be a nice clean taste though.
Okay. Well, let's pop this bad boy.
There you go.
I'm really excited that works. That's the second bottle we've opened with it ever. The first one being the milk stout. That's why the cap was off for anybody who wanted to know. Had to test out it was going to work. So yeah, this is from Fordham and Dominion Brewing Company. They are out of Dover, Delaware. It is a Mid-Atlantic tradition since 1995. So obviously they started in 95. Great thing that I'm already seeing on the label right now is 7.5% alcohol by volume. That's always a good sign. So
never hurts.
Never hurts. It does have it has a good smell to it. It does smells. I'm not even going to say that smells like a stout. It smells lesser. I don't know the right terminology. This is why I'm doing the podcast.
That's
so
why I say it's going to be a little bit heavy. It's kind of in between.
Wow, that's got a weird taste. So like at first, it tastes like more of a light beer, but as it really gets to the back of your throat and you start to taste it, it gets more full. No, that's interesting. Have you had one of these before? Yeah. So you know what it is. You know what it is.
I did. I had one the other night.
Mm-hmm. No, that would be really like a cold winter night when you're shut in, fireplace going, dogs on your feet. Yeah, that would be a great beer to grab.
And I love drinking out of a glass. Like we talked earlier, it just lets everything expand and commingle, and you get all the flavors.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a red wine.
You gotta let it breathe. Yeah, you gotta let it breathe. Well, and I'm usually one to just keep it in the can if I'm just chopped up on the recliner. But for the show, I definitely like drinking out of a glass. I like to show everybody what it looks like.
You want to see it?
Yeah. It gives you a good example. I mean, if you put this one next to that one, there's obviously a big color change, so you can tell these are two totally different beers.
Right.
Oh. All right. Well, I guess we better start talking about sales before my audience leaves us. So, how did you get your first sales job? Well, and let me step that back. Hold on. Okay. Was your first sales job selling vacuums?
No, I worked on a milk route.
Okay. So tell me about the milk route.
Well, that was established accounts a lot. You just went in and serviced the account. But you had to build rapport with the store management or the store owner. I had to sell yourself.
Yeah.
And the better you got along, if there ever was a problem, it really wasn't a problem because you'd take care of it. It taught me customer service. Who's more important here, me or you? Well, definitely you.
Yeah.
And so it gave me some, I guess, coping skills.
Yeah.
More than anything,
People skills.
skills.
You know what I'm hearing. You know, it taught you how to be around people, work with people, and even in a confrontational manner.
And
you know,
different personalities.
yeah.
You know, there's people you could cut up with. There's people you couldn't. You know, and you tried to keep them with the freshest product.
Yeah.
So that was a good experience. I was young and I didn't appreciate it,
Yeah.
but I learned a lot.
No,
I really did.
I think as you know, even with me, I mean, I got into sales, you know, 5-6 years ago, and I mean, there are definitely times if I would have started when I was 18 years old, things I would not appreciate that I did I started.
I was 19 when I got on that milk route. I mean, back then at 18 you could get a chauffeur's license. So I was 19 years old, and I look back at that and I'm like, man. But things happen for reasons.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You know, you got to start your journey somewhere.
No, you're 100% right.
You know, you got to start somewhere, and I'm very grateful for getting that start, because it did put me on a path that's made me a pretty good living over the years.
So let's talk about the 10 years of door-to-door sales.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love talking to people who did door-to-door sales because of their experience and you know how many times you got the door literally slammed in your face.
Oh yeah.
I think that's where the terminology came from. To still be able to like pick up and go to the next one. You know?
Yeah. Well, we canvassed. We did 100% cold call canvas. You know, the first close is at the door. And you learn to deal with rejection.
Yeah.
And that was the first fear. And I think I don't care what you do in life, Clint, conquering fear. You know, there's all kinds of fears. Fear of the unknown, blah, blah, blah. You can go on.
Oh, yeah.
But going door to door helped me understand that sales was a numbers game. The more times I showed my product, the more my closing average improved, the more my people skills improved. Once we got in the door, we had to make friends.
Yeah.
So I got, you know, I talked about them. I looked around, you know, what's on the wall, you know, stuff like that. Let's talk about the grandkids. Let's talk about the kids, you know. Oh, you're a hunter, you're a fisherman. And I just let them talk about themselves, and people love to talk.
Especially about themselves.
Yes. So you just let them open up and you visit a while. You know, I'd visit 10, 15 minutes with people.
Yeah.
If they would. And then from there, we'd start the presentation. So it wasn't an icebreaker. It was, you got to make friends.
Yeah.
Got to have a common ground. And like if they fished, luckily I fished. You know, if they hunted, luckily I hunted. You know, or if they were into NASCAR, whatever it was. So, you know, that taught me, and it had to happen quick, because if you didn't have that, you're just wasting your time. And so you conquer that, then you learn to close. You know, and I was scared to close, because my previous experience was there was no closing. You walked in and said, "Hey, cottage cheese on sale. How many you want?" You know, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so I was fortunate to be in a group in Jeff City that they really prided themselves on being 50% closers. National average at that time for the Kirby business was 1 out of 3. Their standard was 50%, 1 out of 2. And we lost a lot of people because of that, because, I mean, we drilled each other.
Yeah.
You know, we'd gotten vans and we drove to small towns, big towns. I mean, we worked everything in central Missouri. I still drive by towns and go, you know, you sell a lot of Kirby's here. You know, I quit selling in 95 of Kirby's. So, A lot of good memories. Met some very cool people, but you learn quick. You learn quick. You learn to read people. If they took pride in their home, if they didn't, things like that, that helped you in your presentation. But I was scared to close. And then finally, I just about quit. I just couldn't, it just wasn't clicking.
Mm-hmm.
And I got paired with a guy, Bob Busing was his name, and he said, it's really simple, man. He said, you just ask questions. And I'm like, well, shoot, I can do that.
Yeah.
So then he started drilling me on closing questions. So every day going to the field, we just had a closing clinic. I could get in the door, but I couldn't close. So I still remember the first sale I closed. I was so happy. I was like, man, you felt like you were empowered, because now I can knock, I can close, I can write it up. I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I got I'm in control of my destiny. So, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that 100%. I mean, if you're not having fun,
why do it?
Why do it at all?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're in the wrong game.
You're in the wrong game. And if you're just going to be a nervous ball of nerves the entire time, and you refuse to ask closing questions, and you refuse to, they're going to say no matter what. Oh, well, okay, just go ahead and pack your stuff and get out.
Well, we started closing from the start.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, every time you showed something different, you were closing on that. So when you got down to the end, there was just one question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cash, or you want to set it up on payments?
100%.
100%. So when I got to the RV business, if we can skip that, I mean, closing wasn't a big deal, and people walking in the door wanting to go look at something, I'm like, oh man, this is great.
Mm-hmm. I don't have to go anywhere. They're
right.
coming to me.
Exactly.
Yep.
And closing's closing. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you're selling. If you can't close, you ain't eating.
Mm-hmm. You're going to starve.
Yeah. And in the Kirby business, we were 100% commission.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of cool to wake up every morning going, I'm going to go out and make a pocket full of money today.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it, And there's days, you might go 3-0, 4-0. I didn't worry about that, because I knew, the odds would catch me.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's so many things you're not in control of. You're not in charge of credit and all that stuff, But you learn to kind of pick and choose your houses, pick
Mm-hmm.
your audience a little bit. But it was a lot of fun to go to a town you knew nobody in, and you left with 2 or 3 friends.
Yeah.
You made friends with 2 or 3 people, whether you sold them or not. You had a good time. You had some laughs.
Mm-hmm.
And, everything went right. You made your money.
Well, and one thing that I always tried to do is not only just close my customer and, like you said, make that friend, because you may be able to call them 2 or 3 months down the road and say, hey, I'm back in town. Do you want me to, can I come show you that new product, buddy?
Either that or, we'd always ask for referrals.
Yeah, I mean, get a referral out of
yeah.
it. You may not need it. I understand you already bought a vacuum. Do you know, does your mom, your grandma, your uncle,
girlfriend, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's what I always try to do, make sure I'm asking for the referral, make sure they're comfortable with me when they leave, so that when I do call, they understand, like, we're friends now. You don't get it. We're going to hang out on the weekends. You just don't know it yet.
Some of the easiest sales I ever got was what we called a service call.
Mm-hmm.
They go, oh, well, we already got a Kirby. Fantastic. Has anybody been by to do a service call on you? No. We'd go in, we'd pop the roller brush out, clean it off. If they needed a new belt, a lot of times I'd put a new belt on it. Do you have any bags? No, I don't have any bags. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. You've been nice to me. I'll give you a pack of bags if I can show you the new one. Because I already knew what I was up against.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the last time they seen a Kirby guy was when they bought the one they had.
Mm-hmm.
And boom, you're right in.
Yeah.
And it was just, I guess, customer service, but it was helping them help me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to do it. And The way the modern day salesman, I feel like, could do that is getting people from the service department. I mean, I've done it myself multiple times.
Yeah.
You got somebody in there who's just fed up with their car. They've only had a year. It's constantly having problems. Guys, let's go get you another one. Mm-hmm. You know, and if they're not wanting the same product again because they think theirs is just broken or something, I mean, show them something else.
Yeah.
Show them your used lot. Get them in a different brand, if you will, you know, like make them happy. And that's what it is.
I totally agree. Service, I sold a lot out of service because a lot of times, you know, they're milling around. You know, they're waiting for their RV to get done. Say, hey, while you're here, let's go out and I'll show you what's new. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, they're transferring stuff over and you've got a sale.
Exactly.
And they're happy, you're happy, everybody wins.
Well, and at the same time, I mean, it's never going to be a problem to go out and show a customer a new product because either you're planting the seed or you're hyper growing it real quick and they're leaving with it.
Or they'll they go with their camping group and say, man, you can't believe what I saw the other day.
Absolutely.
And then boom, here they come.
Yeah, my buddy Byron down there, he showed me that thing.
Yeah.
He was really great, wasn't pushy, nothing. And he was showing me all the cool stuff. Did you know that yours can do that? You didn't know that, did you? Yeah. You need to go talk to that guy.
They make the sale for you.
Oh, yeah. Customers do that for you. If you can take care of one good customer, I promise you, they can send you 5 if you did a good enough job and can stay in contact.
Yeah.
You got to stay in contact with them, you know.
Yeah, you do. You have to make the effort. Mm-hmm. And again, a lot of people that's a fear. They're afraid to call because they're afraid, oh, hey, you know, this is jacked up. This is wrong. Well, bring it in. Let's make it right. Let's get it fixed. You're helping them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, just adding to your customer service.
Mm-hmm. When I first got in car sales, one of the things that I used to despise was we didn't have a receptionist. We didn't have anybody that answered the phone. Every salesperson answered the phone, and I used to just get obscenely mad at that because I was like, I'm trying to call customers myself. I don't have time to answer the phone, you know, all this BS. I didn't realize what it was doing.
Oh, it's
powerful. Putting a salesperson on the phone with an upset customer looking for service.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your hood just fell off. Bring it in. We'll get you out of it.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. Or we'll fix it, you know, whatever you want to say. But you're starting the connection at that phone call.
Sure.
You know, and if you answer the phone, yep, so-and-so dealership. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me transfer you to service. Talk to him for a minute.
Yeah.
100%. Like, talk to him. Get them on the phone. Get them telling you what the issue is.
Well, when I started selling RVs, we, as salespeople, answered the phone. We were the switchboard.
Yeah.
And for a lot of reasons, you know, but we were the first point of contact. And a lot of times you could get people in from, you know, on a service call or, you know, whatever, seen an ad, and you can talk to the people about it and get them in the business, you know, and get an appointment. Mm-hmm. You know, if you can set an appointment and somebody honors that appointment, you got a pretty good customer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so, you know, back in the old days, you know, it was a little bit different world. You know, I worked for a mom and pop, so we wore many hats. Mm-hmm. But answering the phone was the big deal. And we had a rule, you don't let it ring more than twice.
Yeah, and
we would have guys running for the phones, mm-hmm. you know, because you never know what's on the other end of the phone.
Yeah.
It could be an American Eagle sale, you know,
mm-hmm.
$500,000 coach. Could be a used customer. You just never know, and that's the exciting part of it.
Yeah.
And if your mind's focused on that and you're into the opportunity, you're going to make the most of that. Like you say, if you just go, hello, you
mm-hmm.
know.
You don't know who's on the other end of that line.
No, you don't.
When you're, you know, if you think your lead system and all that, that's great. I mean,
never prejudge.
Yeah, I have sold more off of the phone ringing on organic, just true leads coming into the dealership than I have like a lead system and cold calling
absolutely.
and anything like that. And I mean, we did. I've got a video, and I may try and post it or just add a link to it at my old dealership. It would be the video is of 2 salespeople I worked with. Their hand is laying on the phone
Waiting.
Both of them the same time, and they're sitting over doing stuff with the other hand or texting on their phone. They're just waiting on that phone ring. And I was like, that is a great mentality. Be ready for whatever comes in
Money.
for you to get it. That's
money.
That's it. I've always said the phone is an ATM. You tell it how much money you want to pull out that day.
Exactly.
So I'm all about the phone now. So what was one of your biggest fears getting into sales?
Rejection. Yeah, like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the main thing. Nobody likes to hear no. But you got to realize a lot of times it's not N-O, it's K-N-O-W.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the reason you didn't make a sale maybe because you didn't tell them enough.
Yeah.
I didn't show them this, and that's what we used to do. Our supervisors would, in the Kirby business, would kind of go, what did you show them this? Did you show them that? No. Well, maybe if you had, we'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to, we had a pretty structured demonstration. It didn't matter the order, so much, as long as you touched all the bases. We had to, show the whole kit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've sold lots of Kirbys and lots of RVs on something that I really didn't think was relative.
Mm-hmm.
But to those folks, you never know what hits the button, man.
Yeah.
You
the hot buttons.
You never know. And, it could be an outside shower. It could have been a shampooer in the Kirby business.
Mm-hmm.
You showed whatever it had. I mean, an RV's loaded with features.
Yeah.
Every feature has a benefit. And every time you tell a benefit, you better have a close on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how I was taught in the RV business. Feature, benefit, tie down.
Yep. There you go.
And that's how it works.
That's 100% right. It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you know your product knowledge enough to know that it has a feature, it has a function, and it has the close, so to speak, to it, and how to ask for that. And I mean, that was one thing that I always loved in cars. Everybody knows, okay, it's got a transmission, it's got a motor, and it's got brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Showing off
and it's pretty.
It's that flame red that you've just been looking for, and then you get to show them the technology that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the cars out there today. I mean, you look at Tesla and it drives itself.
Yeah.
But Tesla really doesn't have like salesmen that I've done research on. I mean, they've got people in a dealership. It's called Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell you all about the car and the features and all that other stuff. But I mean, they don't have salesman. You buy a Tesla, it's one price.
Right.
And you can go to any other car lot in the United States, and that salesman's got to work to earn your business because they know, well, maybe I could get it cheaper. So you've got to build the value in that car.
Your retail price is here, but you have to build value here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So when you get down to the nuts and bolts, the dollars and the cents, yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly.
That's why it's that price, is because it's got all this stuff.
Yeah. Remember that fancy radio I told you about? It's got the heated seats.
Exactly.
Oh man, that car is awesome for you, ma'am.
Remember how you could work that seat and it had heat, didn't hurt your back.
Exactly.
I mean, I've never sold a car in my life. But you give me a car, I'll sell it.
Yeah.
It's selling. Feature, benefit, tie down.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, man.
Yeah, and
how's it going to work for me?
Exactly. I mean, and having a good personality. I do believe product knowledge is a big thing, but
key.
It is a key element to any sales. But at the same time, as long as you've got a good personality and you can be honest with the customer, you can work around that till you learn the product knowledge. So like if you went and tried to go sell cars today, I feel like you would do good, but you would know I've got to learn the product before I can be excellent.
Selling.
Yeah.
I got to know what I'm selling.
That's it. I love it. This is going great.
And we, back then, I don't know what it is now because I'm not doing it, but we had factory reps that were, I mean, they were from the 70s up, and product knowledge was it, and I'm like, man, if I don't know this, I didn't want to get out there and get blindsided.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want my customer being smarter than me on my product.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we were banging heads just like anybody, I'm not the only Prowler dealer. You weren't the only Dodge dealer, so if I showed them everything, then, well, I didn't know that had it on there. So we'd write them up because we showed more and built more value. And I had an owner that if he didn't feel like you'd showed him enough, back out the door you went with him, obviously, and he'd tell you, obviously, you didn't do your job.
Yeah.
Take these people back out and show them that unit again.
Yeah, no.
And you didn't want that walk of shame.
No, that walk of shame is terrible. So when I first got in the car business, I was selling Ford, and I'm not a Ford fan. I don't like Fords. I still to this day catch myself looking at a Ford, and I go, that's a pretty truck. It's a Ford. Like I have respect for Ford, but I don't think I could ever drive one personally. If it was given to me, absolutely, I'll drive it. It's free. But I mean, with those products, I mean, you've got to be able to build the value in them. So when I was at that Ford dealership and I couldn't see the value myself, it hurt my sales because I didn't like the product.
You got to like what you do.
So I did. After a couple of months, I switched to a Chrysler dealership, if nobody could tell. And really dove into the products because I liked the products. It was a happy medium. I was a Chevy guy, didn't like Ford, learned kind of how to sell in a couple months, and then I could now sell a product I like, and it exploded. It was like, boom, night and day.
The light turned on.
Yeah, the light turned on. The light switch was clicked on. I mean, it was night and day from going to Ford sales, struggling, not happy where I was at, and needed the money, and then being able to go to a Chrysler dealership and blow it out of the water,
There you go.
Knowing your product is so important. I preach that on the show so much because you have to know your product. You need to know at least enough to answer questions. Don't lie to your customer.
They already know.
Yeah. they already know the answer half the time.
Yeah. They already know. That's what they're trying to. They're like, you ever watch? Children are the greatest closers. If you don't believe me, just watch them and listen to them. But most of the time, I'm father of 4. I've noticed over the years, because my kids are spread out age-wise, but most of the time when a child asks you something, they pretty well know the answer anyway. They're just trying to see if you'll tell them the truth. Customers are no different.
No, they are the exact same.
Especially now with the internet and information on the phone. I mean, they have the time to study it, and a lot of times more time than we do, if they really laser in on one product, So, you got to be on your game.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, being able to show a customer who has done the research or maybe even had one. So say you've got a Cougar 29 or RBS or something, and you just want the newer model of the same thing you've got to be able to tell them what's different.
Got to build the value.
You got to build the value in it because they know what they bought it for 5 years ago. Well, I promise you, inflation has happened. 5 years has added a bunch of money to that price, and they're like, "This is the same camper we just had. Why is mine worth $10,000 and you're trying to sell me another one for $20,000? Like,
right.
It doesn't make sense." So you have to explain to them, the value of the camper and what has changed, the product knowledge of that, but you also have to tell them why it's valuable to you.
Exactly. Why do I want that?
Yeah, and being able to confront your customer like that, and be like, look, I know this is valuable to you. I know you've enjoyed your camper for the past 5 years, but at the same time, you also have to sell yourself, like we talked about earlier, and tell them, look, my time's worth something. And I felt like I've done my job properly. I've showed you all the features and benefits of the new Cougar. So you need to understand that I'm giving you a great deal here, Being able to do that, I feel like is where a lot of salespeople get scared to ask for more money.
Right. That's true. And you got to get over that. You'll never get it if you don't ask for it.
Yeah. I mean, you can always go down. You can't go back up.
No.
I mean, and
I've never walked anybody up.
No, it's real hard. I think I've done it once, and it was because we were adding stuff to it, you know.
Right.
I don't know how many times somebody's like told me they want a Jeep, and I'm like, okay, let's go get you a Jeep Wrangler. Let's go pick one out, you know, and I'll show it to them, sell them on it, and we get to numbers, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's a great price. Now add tires, lift kit, roll bars, bumpers, and I'm like, okay, let's write this down. That's $3,000 extra. Here you go. And they go, oh, well, we're not paying extra. You're just going to pay for that. Where does that money come from, sir?
Exactly, yeah.
We can finance this into your payment. Don't you worry about a thing.
$3,000 ain't going to raise your payments, just a few dollars.
Just a few dollars. Yeah, $20. So much. So what is your favorite part in sales? Obviously, you're not what I would consider in direct sales, but I mean, part sales is still sales, right?
Getting them to say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
you know, you're out there on the floor, you're selling a generator, or you're selling a roof job, you're selling an awning, you know, toppers, whatever thing that, you know, you've got to make. It's still the same process. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Selling. Yeah, I love it. You know, you've got to do the features. You got to do the benefits. You got to paint the picture. You got to put them in there, you know, and that's still fun to me.
Yeah.
And I kind of missed that when I was back in the shop, being an ops manager, because I didn't have a lot of my contact was with techs and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, I do a little selling on that sometimes too. But,
you got to sell your technicians.
Or, you know, sell them on why they need to do this for half an hour.
Yeah. We know it's going to take you 3 hours to do this, but I'm only going to be able to charge 30 minutes,
that's
guys.
That's it, man. You're going to have to cram it in.
The faster you get it done.
But, yeah, it's just seeing people get what they want. And that is kind of rewarding. To me, you know, to still have that, still using the same processes, and I enjoy that. After a while, as you well know, once you get bitten by the bug, it's there. You know, I went home to be a stay-at-home dad for like 4 years, and God, I missed it.
No, I missed it. I can only imagine. I mean,
you know.
I go stir crazy enough on my days off. I'm like, how's the store doing? You know, what's happening? Like, I'm thankful for email because I see all the emails come through. Right. I'm like, I know what's going on. We're good.
Yeah, I went from full blown on, you know, sales to going home to 3 kids, and I'm like, and I did. I missed it, and it was. But once you get bitten, it's there.
No, 100% on that. So, you know, talking about coming, you took 4 years off, right? Mm-hmm. What made you want to come back?
I missed it.
You just 100% missed it.
100% missed it, man. I mean, I did, and I wanted a new challenge. I wanted another part of the business. Mm-hmm. So when I went to Camping World's job fair, I got hired into parts or service. Mm-hmm. Never done it. You know, big challenge. Never worked a DOS system. And I avoided it because I waited till Windows showed up. You know? So, you know, there's a lot of challenges. So it frustrating but very rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, one day you're just sitting there banging it out on a computer and you're like, wow, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. You know, again, it's that accomplishment. You know, you've conquered another hurdle or whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, I just missed it. Missed being around people, you know, missed hearing the stories, you know, making new friends.
Well, and I think that's a big part for myself because I am a people person. I didn't used to be. I used to be very clammed up, like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I was not a people person a couple of years back, and I got into sales, and it made me come out of my shell. And now, like, I almost crave it. Like, I want to go.
Do.
Yeah, I want to go into a restaurant and just, like, talk to everybody. Like, I'm like, hey, guys, I don't work here, but how's your meal?
And then, see, that's a frustration on salespeople, I think. They are so outward going. when there's nobody to talk to because, it's off season or whatever, you gotta fight the demon because you want to show that product. You can't. So that's when the negativity starts to sink in. So you got to be thick-skinned. You got to be focused. You got to read the books, the Zig Ziglar, the whatever, and get your mind ready for when it comes your turn. You're ready.
Yeah, you've always got to be keeping your skills sharp. And I mean, that's one thing we do talk about in our sales meetings. The wintertime is when we need to be like, it's our dormant time. Like we need to be like
when
training.
You learn.
That's when you're learning
train.
stuff. Yeah. And that's where you get your skills really fine-tuned and sharpened so that when the summertime comes and you get all those rushes in there.
You're on autopilot, man.
You don't even second think it. You're just like automatic go, boom, go, because you've got so much going on. So, I mean, yeah, the wintertime in most sales settings, when sales slow down and it's slow down, that is when you really need to fine-tune your craft.
Yes, learn your craft and fine-tune it. That's usually, back when I was on the floor, that's when the reps came around and you could go out in a unit and they'd walk you around and you'd go to schools. We'd have motorhome schools and all that stuff, factory tours. So you could tell the stories and you could tell them how it was made because you've seen it. But yeah, you got to get ready because it's going to happen, and it seems like it doesn't trickle start. It's just like one day the switch is thrown and here we go. I'll never forget the day we opened Camping World. The phones hardly rang.
Really?
Yeah. And the overpass they were redoing the overpass, and I'm sitting here going, man, I've been at this exit for 13 years. Never seen that. Phone's not ringing. Second day, it was like 0 to 100. Phones wouldn't stop. People started showing up. You had to get off at Millersburg or go to Lake of the Woods and come back through the back roads. Wow. It was like Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Build it and they will come. And it was crazy. But yeah, you had to learn a lot on the fly.
No, I agree with that 100%. I mean, most of any good like tactic or word track or anything, I learned on the fly. I mean, and it was just like it came out of my mouth and it was like, but would you take it today? Where did that come from?
But it came out.
It came out and I liked it and it worked, like so many times I'd get a customer who'd come up with an objection, being like, throw something in. And that did just one day it clicked. And I don't know if I just mentally heard it from another salesperson or
picked it up or what. You never know.
It did. It came out of nowhere. And it was just like, could you throw in steps on that truck? If I can, would you take it today?
Is that all it's keeping you from doing it?
Yeah. If I can throw in steps, I've got to go get clarification. Would you take it today? Well, yeah. Okay. I'll be right back.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Be like, hey, throw in steps and we're good.
You're walking out of the office knowing you got a deal.
Yeah. I mean, that was the moment I went to the close, I was like, oh, wow, I just did that. That was cool.
I just closed the deal.
I just closed the deal. Whoa.
I made money. Yeah.
So how do you stay on your grind? I mean, what gets you up in the morning excited to go to work?
I've done this for so long, I don't know. I don't know any other way. But, one thing I have learned is the days you really have to get out of bed and, God, I've got these vacation days, I could call in or whatever. I've learned over the years that's the day you got to go to work because that's the day it's going to be good. That's the day your odds are paying off, and I read years ago, you got to wake up, dress up, and show up because you never know. And the unknown is what gets me going. It's like today, I might sell a job that has $4,000 worth of parts on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I won't know if I'm not there to pick up the phone. You just never know what's going to walk in the door or come up on the phone. And that still gets me going.
Mm-hmm.
I still get excited about that, Fortunately, it's not, well, man, if I don't sell something today, I can't pay my rent, Poverty is a great motivator.
Oh, yeah.
But, you just get in that, you just want to help people. I always thought, if I don't get it done, somebody else will.
Yeah, 100%.
So who deserves it better than me?
Yeah, no,
Nobody.
I'm my
Me.
number one fan. I
Yes,
promise
exactly, exactly. Who's the guy best fit for the job? That's me.
What has two thumbs and can
That's
say
it.
yes? This guy.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's just the unknown. I want to know. And at the end of the day, if I've done everything I can do, I've made my calls. If I have calls to make and tell people where their orders are and things like that, and I can walk out of that dealership and I've done my job, then I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I like feeling good.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want any more negativity. And years of conditioning, gets you there.
Yeah, no,
it's nothing that you turn on and off, although I can now. I couldn't when I started.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know enough.
Yeah.
So it's just that, it's just that I still get excited when somebody says yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't care if I was out on the corner selling pencils. If somebody said, yeah, I'll take one of them pencils. I'd get all excited. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd get all excited. I'm like, hey, I sold a pencil.
Yeah, sold it.
Yeah, it's making that transaction, and I had a great trainer and mentor in my uncle, Carl Weber. He said, man, it's just fun making a deal. He sold real estate, built houses, things like that. And he was always busy. And he's like, I just like making deals, man. And he was my number one supporter when I got in the Kirby business. He says, man, you're going to have fun. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm just trying to make some money here,
Yeah.
And he was right. I had fun. And it is, and it gets in your blood, and selling is just a part of life. It's just like getting up and brushing your teeth and combing your hair. Mm-hmm. It's just something you got to do.
It's something you got to do, and that's always something that I've thought of. I mean, sales is a lifestyle. It's not just a job.
Oh, it is. You marry in.
You do. You marry into that because you have to live a certain lifestyle, and it was really hard at first because I was like,
your friends are doing things and you're at work,
and I'm at work and I'm missing out on things, and even with my wife, she's like, you're not at work. Why are you still calling people? And I'm like, because I never got an answer out of them.
Right.
Like I have to keep calling them.
I'm on a search.
Mm-hmm. I've got to make another sale this week. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
And it is a lifestyle. It will change you for anybody who's ever thought about getting into sales. I mean, I highly recommend it because it changed my life, and I feel like it's made me a better person. I really do.
There's two things I think everybody should do, and I'm only batting 500 on this.
Okay.
So I admit my hypocrisy. I think a person should serve their country. Mm-hmm. Pick a branch of service. Go do your duty. I didn't do that because I was a child of the late 70s. We weren't in any squabbles anywhere, so I didn't feel the need to go. But I think everybody should sell. Mm-hmm. I think you should have at least 2 years of selling. Mm-hmm. It does two things. Number one, you understand what that guy or gal's going through, and it makes you a better customer.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
So I think those are two things that I would like to see implemented. If I was president.
Byron Thompson for president, people.
Two things are going to happen. But, I think those are two very important things because if you're unsure of what you want to do, I think the military is a great place to go find your discipline.
Yeah.
I found it other places, but I was lucky enough to have good mentors and role models, and sell something.
Yeah,
you don't have to make a career out of it, but just go get exposed, mm-hmm. And see what happens. I guarantee you it'll make you a better customer. and you'll appreciate the person you're dealing with, because you're not going to come in there and be a butthead to them because you've been on the other side of the desk.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know,
and me and John Art, a couple episodes before this one, talked about that, selling to salesmen, because I don't know how many times I've gotten, a customer that was a salesperson in some form or fashion, maybe not a cars, but been trying to sell a salesperson, and he keeps thinking I'm trying to pull a fast one and I'm trying to get one over on him, and I'm like, no, man, like, I'm being straightforward with you.
I love selling salespeople.
I know. Doesn't it make you feel like you get an extra accomplishment? You're like, I sold that guy,
I sold that guy.
Probably.
But they're geared for that.
Yeah.
They want to see, they want to see that feature benefit tie down. They want to see you work for it, man.
Yeah.
And if you go out there and you pour yourself into it, you'll get rewarded.
No, absolutely. I mean, if there's a salesperson, especially in a relatable field, so like in one time, and I just felt dog awful. I really did, because I couldn't close it, and I knew I'd given it my all, but I was still like, I didn't do it. And the guy may have just been a jerk. I don't know. But we had sold a car to another finance manager. I was thinking, okay, not only is this going to be an easy sale, but I'll cut the guy a break. So, he wanted it delivered to him, never stepped foot on the dealership lot. Like, I was like, okay, I'd probably do the same thing. Like, I don't want to come in and be harassed. Like, just send me the paperwork.
Working too.
Yeah, I'm working too. So I did. I just called him up and said, hey, man, just quick minute. Like, maybe let me make sure your information's correct. Let me make sure you understand terms and conditions and privacy laws and all that other stuff. You should know this. You're a finance guy too, And I said, okay, so just because you're another finance guy, I'm going to give you all products at cost. I wouldn't expect any less if I was buying from you. I said, what products do you want? Oh, I don't want anything. What?
What?
I said, man, seriously, truly, like, giving it to you at cost. What do you want? I don't want anything. You're a finance manager and you're telling me no? You know what that does to me.
Right. Takes you right out of the loop.
It just blew me out of the water that he was so disrespectful. And not only that, didn't believe in products.
Yeah.
Like, you sell them too and you don't believe in them? You need a new job.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be in finance.
No, and I mean, he was coming in upside down, needed gap insurance, minimal. Like, if he'd have just been like, yeah, give me gap insurance, got to have that, because you can only do it when it's established in the loan.
Right.
I don't know if I can say this on the air, but I'd seen his credit. It wasn't the best, so he really needed the gap insurance. he was paying a higher interest rate, and it blew my mind how disrespectful he was to somebody like him.
I would equate that to a quick buck artist. And I always called them 90-day wonders, because in 90 days you wonder where they are, because they're not there.
No, absolutely.
You got to believe in your product. If you don't believe in your product, it's like desperation.
Yeah.
Customers can smell it a mile away.
100%.
I mean, they'll smell if you're desperate and you come across that way, guess what? Nobody wants to buy from a desperate salesman.
No. And I've always tried to be, real and honest, even when I was desperate.
Exactly. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, but I never tried to put my problems on my customers. Like,
no, they're here to buy a car. I'm here to show you a car.
Exactly. Let me show you why I'm better than any other salesman in this department. Not only that, but the 3 dealerships around me, yeah, I'm better than them too. But don't get me wrong, I absolutely need your business. Don't want it. I need it.
I need
okay?
it,
yeah. That's always been the difference between me and I feel like a lot of other salesmen. And I don't know, like, I truly want to make sure my customer has a good experience. They're taken care of after the sale. There's been so many aspects that I see other salespeople fail at, and it always drove me nuts. Product knowledge and taking care of them after the sale is like my 2 pet peeves. Like, if your customer calls you and has a problem, guess what? You answer the phone and try and help them.
Yeah, fix it.
Yeah, try and fix it. Now, obviously,
or do your level best.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, especially if you got one of them head-lopping deals, you just went into overtime for that customer if they ever have a problem, because guess what? They just paid you bukus of money for your probably very short time with them. and then they start having problems, guess what? You're going to fix it.
That's it.
I mean, that mentality, like, and that's not saying if you made a mini off of somebody, you can just treat them like dirt. Like, you still got to give them the same amount of respect. But I don't know how many times I've had a customer that I knew I made a lot of money off of them because they were so easy to work with and they were so great to me. Like, I was like, I absolutely have to take care of you.
Yeah.
It just that mentality to me has always been super big. So.
Yep.
So, what does a normal day look like for you, Byron?
Well, you know, I just come in and all my business is either walk in or on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So when they walk up, you know, it's like opening the door.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be courteous. You got to be, hey, how you doing? What can I help you with? You know, and just listen. Listen. They'll tell you what they want, and if you don't have it, you find it.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's good.
I mean, you know, I may not have it in hand, but I can get it to you maybe Wednesday, maybe Friday. You got to know your schedules of deliveries where you can from your suppliers and things like that, and it's just taking care of the customer.
That's good.
I really don't have a game plan every day because I don't write it. You know, it's whatever happens. You just got to, kind of like Bruce Lee says, you got to be like water. Water goes to the rock and around it and flows. You just got to flow, man. You just got to take what comes and do the best you can with what you're given.
Absolutely.
You only may get 2 chances.
Yeah.
Till we get busy. I only get like 1 or 2 chances if I'm lucky till we get busy. So I got to capitalize on it.
No, 100%.
And you got to go above and beyond. And people appreciate that, and they're willing to help you.
No, and that brings up a really good point that I used to do for a lot of my customers, and I call it going the extra mile. You know, for any customer that I ever had, I always made sure, and this most people do, but I always made sure that my business card was not only in with their paperwork. I made sure it was in the vehicle somewhere so that they can they grab it and reference it. And for the most part, every sales job I've had, my cell phone's been on the business card, but I always make sure like they have my cell phone number. And I always tell them, here's my cell phone number. You call me if you have any problems, you know. If it's midnight and I don't answer, obviously I'll call you back tomorrow morning because I'm asleep. But and I always try to give them a gift. And usually it was a solo cup with some Reese's or some candy or something, just something that I felt was good enough for them. You know, like here's a small little treat for your ride home, just to show just to show you my appreciation. And that was always a big part to me. And going that little bit extra mile, I know there's people out there that do more things, that do better things, but that was a good one for me. So. My advice to a lot of salespeople, go the extra mile. I mean, definitely make your customer feel special to you, not just the dealership, not just purchasing from you, just personally. Like, you are special to me, and here's some Reese's.
Well, and I think I'm old school. I like shaking hands.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And if somebody gives, I don't care if they buy, I try to shake hands a lot. If people don't shake hands, we'll fist bump. But just reach out to them, and let them know you appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank them for coming in. Do something that, a little bit above and beyond what maybe their last experience was. Tell them you appreciate them.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Appreciate your business. Thanks for coming in. Nice meeting you. There's little things that put you differently than other people.
Yeah, and I do think that there's a lot of people that think that gets so mundane because, you tell so many people that every day. You're not telling the same person that five times. No. You're telling different people, so you can't let it become mundane.
Yeah, and they
boring.
walk out and go, wow, man, we really got treated good here.
Yeah,
And I've had a lot of people, I couldn't help. I couldn't put parts in their hand, and they're like, man, thanks, I said, well, maybe I can catch you next time. Exactly. Come back and see me, and cut up with them a little bit, and
There you go.
Put a smile on your face. And
It's all about having that good attitude.
you got to have a good attitude. That's the first step to anything.
Okay, so Byron, we've got to wrap this up. We're getting a little long, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. I want you to give me a quick motivational speech to any newer salesperson, somebody who's struggling in sales. What would be your best your best advice to somebody in a sales department that's going to get them pumped up and ready for the next day, or if they're about to start their day today? What can you give us and our listeners?
You got to control what you can control. Mm-hmm. Somebody comes in, you've got to find out what they want and then take them to it. Don't show them 15 campers. Take them to what they want. And we always try to just take them to 3 at the most, because then they'll think, well, I remember the living room out of this one and the bathroom out of that one. But try and really focus in on what your customer tells you. Take a few minutes up front and get to know what they're looking for. Ask her. Don't leave the wife out.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you want? What do you want in your next camper? And make sure you remember that when because we knew our inventory. I was already checking off the stuff that, well, we're not going to show them this, we're not going to show them this, I'm going here. Then I talk to Dad, figure out what he wants. Get to know what your customers are looking for, and hopefully it'll all mesh up together, or, you'll get more than, you get 8 of 10 instead of 10 out of 10, but yet you're getting the most there. And just go out and make friends. Friends buy from friends. And just, go out there and give it your best. Show them everything. Show them everything. Even if it means nothing to you, it could be a big thing to them. Don't prejudge. Go out there and show them that camper like it's the last camper you're going to show.
Yeah.
And if they have questions, you don't know the answer, it ain't no big deal. Just say, hey, I've never been asked that, but I tell you what, when we get inside, I got some guys here, it's been a while, I'll go ask them. And then don't forget that. Go get that answer.
Yeah,
I don't care if you have to write it. Yeah, I don't care if you have to write it down. Because if it's important to them, it should be important to you.
Absolutely.
So you need to, maybe write that down on a little old flip pad, but just do the best you can for each customer. Mm-hmm. And don't prejudge.
Don't prejudge. I like that one, because I haven't heard that one on the show yet. Don't prejudge, because that's an important one.
I tell you what, I've seen more money come out of the bib of overalls than I ever did out of the inside pocket of a suit jacket.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't know how many times I've had customers that I still worked, but I was judging them in my mind, and I still give them 100% and gave them great quality of service. But in my mind, I was like, your credit's shot. You don't have any money. And just those negative thoughts that roll through your head. And I always knew to push forward through it.
The most valuable real estate in the world is between your ears. Mm-hmm. And what garbage in, garbage out. And I've had to stop. I know we're running long, but it's fine. So important. It's so important to guard your attitude. Mm-hmm. I've had to pull away from friends because they're just too negative. Mm-hmm. And I love them dearly, but I can't do what I do and have that appetite.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, you've got to separate yourself from that. And being in sales, you can pick out the positive and negative.
Mm-hmm. No, 100% there. Yeah.
So, you've got to guard your mind. And guard what you watch, what you hear.
Yeah, no.
Walk away from that crap.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get drug in.
Easy, super easy. You don't even know what's happening, and it's going on. If you get fed that negativity and you just eat it up, and you keep coming back to it like it's a drug or something, it will consume you.
And it'll kill your career.
Absolutely. I don't know how many times I've seen people who get into any type of sales position and just get drugged down by the negativity of others, not even their own mishaps. They could be doing great, but just getting so negative with somebody else dragging them down and not being able to escape that, You've got to be able to cut ties with people, especially if they're hurting you, hurting your business, hurting, your family, because that's what it's initially doing.
Yeah, it's hurting your family because you're providing for your family.
Exactly. I mean, keep the negativity as far away from you as possible. And I know there's people in your dealership today that are negative, that can't help but be negative, but somehow they still make a paycheck. And I mean, you've got to just distance yourself from them. I mean,
it works for them, but it's only them,
and I think it's a mind game, because I've met other salespeople that want to see their peers, their other coworkers fail. So they're going to give you negativity, and they're,
thinking that it's going to be more for them.
Yeah, and that's not the way to do it, guys. You've all got to work as a team. So just keep that, in your mind. If you've got somebody negative around you, maybe don't go out and smoke with them or meet them at the water cooler.
Exactly.
Or, go sit in their office and talk.
Pick the phone up.
Yeah. Work on yourself. I mean, not saying you don't need your team, because you absolutely need your team, but you can still almost, we'll survive all this. Vote him off the island and you don't talk to him.
I mean, they'll take care of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, and I've done that a lot. I've seen people, guys I've worked with come in, start heading to my office. I'll just pick up the phone, start dialing numbers. I don't want them in my office, but it's, you got to be on guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important thing, is your attitude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Attitude is key. If you can have a good attitude, if you can deflect the negativity, know your product, and drink good beer.
Hey, beer's great, because if you had a bad day, well, you got to drink to forget. If you had a great day, well, it's time to celebrate.
It's time to celebrate. That's right, man. I love it. Byron, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me on, Clint. I've had a great time.
This has been awesome, man. And I've got so many beers to shout out real quick. So Winter Chills Ale by Fordham and Dominion Brewing Company. We also have Party House from Public House. It's a lot of houses. And then we also have, I forgot. It's River Horse. It's their Oatmeal Milk Stout. Guys, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Be sure to check out some of these beers. If you're in the Camping World department and you need some parts, come check out Byron here in Columbia, Missouri. Don't forget to subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, as well as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just follow us on all platforms.
You're everywhere.
You won't forget it. I'm everywhere. I take up a lot of space. Call me Superman.
Big footprint.
Big footprint. You've got to have a big footprint in this industry. But guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
Helping the customer buy, helping him to know the product, helping him see sales features that he in turn can use to sell them. That's part of selling. How well could you do it?